Well, if you've been watching Tech Garage long enough, you remember way back in season 4, we had Project M&M. Well, that was a Mercury marquee. It was a fun show, but now it's time for Project M&M Part 2. And I can tell you one thing, it's a Mercury, but folks, this one is no marquee. Welcome to Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com. Well, I told you it wasn't a Mercury marquee, and that it is not. It is a Mercury, though, but it's a Mercury Marauder. And Dave, this is a rare car and a cool car, man.
Yeah, you were understating things, John. In 2003 and 2004, they only made 11,000 of these. Meanwhile, Toyota Camry was the most produced car in the entire universe, and they made 900,000 over those 2 years. So you're talking 900,000 versus 11,000. This is a rare bird right here. This is cool.
And it's really neat. I mean, it's a big upgrade from our marquee project. Give me that, because number one, the engine. Number two, hey, it's not your granddaddy's marquee, man. This thing is really cool. But the engine, instead of the 2-valve, well, you know what it is, don't you?
The big time. It's 4-valve engine, the same thing you find in the Cobra.
Watch this, ready?
Yeah. You can rotate the earth with this thing, baby.
Man, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Gotcha. Look at that bad boy. Oh, Lord. Here we go. Step one.
Yeah.
All right.
Hood prop or buy a helmet are the two.
There you go.
There, yeah.
But that's why it's there, Dave. Anyway, we're gonna do a whole analysis on this car and figure out what's going on. But let me give you the backstory first, okay? So here's the deal. The car was overheating, randomly overheating, and we picked it up for a pretty good price. I mean, it is a Marauder, and what's going on though, these engines are very susceptible to overheating. And why is that? Because they're higher here than they are here. So gravity, obviously, the air is going to pocket up right there.
Oh, interesting.
So I figured we would try to bleed and stuff, but no worries. I got a whole engine, and RockAuto.com supplied me with all the gaskets. We could rebuild this if we have to rebuild this. I'm hoping we don't have to, but you know, it may have some air pockets.
All right, what do you do about that?
Well, that's interesting, okay? They say to bleed it, and what we can do is bleed it from here. This is actually the bleeder screw right here, but not even that. I've bled it a couple times, and it's still overheated a little bit. So I talked to a buddy of mine up in Detroit, and he says, get that front end way up in the air. We have a lift to do that, and makes sense to me because the air is gonna rise to the highest place. This is the radiator tank, that's even below that. So he's claiming you fill this up with coolant very, very slow, burp it like a little baby, just keep going and burp it and burp it and burp it, run it and burp it, even sometimes pressurize it here to get some of the air out. So I thought we would give that a shot. I really don't know why the air got in there though.
Well, I looked a little bit earlier and I saw that there's a new water pump put on here. You can see that's the only shiny part on there. And so I would bet when they put that in, they didn't bleed the system.
Well, there you go. I mean, that would do it. And man, you're right. How did I miss that? Okay. So obviously it's got a new water pump on there. Maybe they just introduced air in the system. That would be great. We burp it. Man, we got us a Marauder ready to roll. But of course, just like in true Tech Garage fashion, Dave, there was a show we did years ago and it was a Cadillac inspection all the way through. It was one of our most popular shows. Everybody out there loved it. And why did they love it? Because we did kind of a cost analysis. Is it worth keeping the car? So Dave, I see you got your whiteboard. You're ready to do it.
Yeah.
Why don't you grab your whiteboard? First thing you can write down right on there is hood struts.
Okay, yeah.
Start there. I'm not going to get clunked with hood struts in the head. All right. And if you guys take a look at this graphic right here, you guys can see we used this on a Cadillac years ago, and it's such an in-detailed sheet that we're going to use it again. And it all starts right there with the history. We know the history of this car. It was sold in Indiana. It got here, and it's only got 69,000 miles, so we're pretty happy with it. Maintenance, everything looks pretty good. You can see it. Tires and pads, well, they're about shot. We'll take a look at that once we get under the undercarriage. Detailing, we're gonna overlook that. There's some scratches and some problems there, but we wanna make sure the car is mechanically sound. Road test, I drove it here. It drove pretty good, didn't feel too crazy. All the functionality of what's going on inside was good. Then we got to go to the under compartment there, Dave. Underneath, eventually, we're going to have to take a look at that. But right now, we'll take a look at the engine compartment. That's important. We can tell a lot of what's going on just by a good visual inspection.
Yes, sir, and that's what you want to do before you do just about anything. Once you get the tires off, even if you're not worried about brakes, you want to check your brakes. You want to check everything under there. You want to check the suspension. Same thing under the hood. You may be going in for something else. While you're under there, though, you might as well look around and make sure everything looks good. And we can do that thanks to our work light we've got from our friends at RockAuto.com here. And we couldn't do TV and we couldn't work on vehicles without one of these. This is
very
great.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, so this will give us an idea of what's going on. Just a quick visual inspection.
Yeah.
Obviously, Dave, we're going to change all the fluids. That's a gimme.
Yep.
But just take a look around your side, see what you find.
This is pretty remarkable. I'm seeing some surface rust like you would anywhere else, but the hoses all look really, really good. I don't see any cracking. I don't see any connections that are bad, visually anyway. Nothing seems to be out of place. This fire blanket's a little chewed up, but that's not a big deal.
Yeah, same here on my side. I mean, everything looks pretty good, like you said, just some rust. It could have been up north a little bit, but the hoses seem all pliable. Everything's good, the alternator. One thing I don't like, Dave, though, is I'm a little concerned after you told me about the water pump. It's probably just a serpentine belt. The tensioner looks old, and because it has that susceptibility of that coolant air pockets, I think it's a good idea to keep that water pump in tip-top shape.
And you know, I'm looking at that right now, and I see the grooves are really deep. And that's kind of counterintuitive. With the tire, you want really deep grooves. With the belt, you don't want that. That means that belt is potentially worn out.
Yeah.
And think of all the things that can go wrong if that serpentine belt breaks.
Hey, throw that down on our list and bleed it. I'll get that on the list. But you guys, check this out. I think, Dave, it's going to be well worth it. I mean, this is actually the window sticker back in 2003. This is so cool. This car cost $34,845.
Holy moly.
Imagine that, Dave.
That's like $7.8 trillion in today's money. That's incredible.
That's the truth. Dave, we'll go ahead and do the serpentine belt while we got it down. We'll go ahead and put some new hood props on it. I don't want to get clunked anymore. And we'll try that bleeding process and we'll see how it goes. Then we're going to have to do an undercarriage inspection. But maybe we should just take a break and let Josh and our lead tech Benjamin have at this one for a little while. Man, we've been working hard this season.
I think that's a great idea.
Hey, you guys come back right after this break. We're going to get it up in the air and check the undercarriage. We'll show you how all this is done as well. Well, stick around, I promise. We'll be back with more Tech Garage right after this break.